Hi everyone, my name is Akshay, and today I'm here to guide you through how Haystack works. To begin with, Haystack is a chat-driven interface that you can review a PR with. So in this case, you can see we're looking at this PR called um, use separate worker thread pool from shader compiler. You might not know what that means, that's okay. And this PR is in the Godot directory. So the first step anyone would ever take is to click on this, explain the point of this PR to me, and you can actually see, the LLM's chugging along, pretty standard through fare. So Haystack always begins with kind of the background behind something because that's often like not very well like understood in a PR. This PR actually does a really good job of linking it, but like you still have to navigate to a different link. So in this case, I'm just going to explain to you. This PR is trying to fix a crash that's caused when two different parts of the Godot codebase, the shader compilation and the raycast occlusion, don't ask me what that is, are competing for a worker thread pool. And this causes deadlocks and resource contention, and it causes crashes, I assume, because it just stalls out. We can actually see that Haystack includes details about an alternative fix that was kind of like a workaround. It just increased the thread stack size like 4 times. But this PR in particular, as it says, tries to address the root cause by giving shader compilation its own pool. And so this nicely sets us up to review the PR from a narrative perspective. And that's kind of the point of Haystack. It's all about narrative. Do I understand the problem and solution, and do I think the solution is kind of worth it to merge into the code base? And I'll expound on this further. And so you can see here, it leaps kind of immediately into the main crux of the PR, which is we use a dedicated name pool for shader compilation. Talks about, like we went from a singleton to a get name pool. And right now everything's kind of floating up in the air. Nothing's really related to GIFs. Or sorry, not GIFs, diffs. So it might be a little bit difficult to comprehend. But as we can see here later, Haystack kind of introduces these links. And so if you click on a link, you can actually navigate to a diff. And you can see the diff on the right here. So Haystack kind of lays out the changes in logical sequence for you to kind of go through. It's almost like talking with the coworker. I'm not going to say it's equivalent, but it's almost like talking with the coworker about their changes and them guiding you through it. And the nice thing is everything's related to diffs. So if you want to look at this, component that lazily initializes and returns a name pool, you can do so if you want. And the diff interface is really nice because we do things like combine similar lines, so you can easily see changes. Like ordinarily this would be 4 lines of diffs. You can see here, right here. And in this way, Haystack has this high-level narrative on the left, but you can zoom into details on the right, if you so desire. Obviously, you don't have to read the diffs if you don't want to. And this way, you're kind of not like... I think the point of this is you don't get lost in the sauce. You can constantly go back to this narrative, and it's a nice little scratch pad. But at the same time, like if you have problems, or if you don't like the way code is written on the right, you can always leave a comment there if you want. And that's kind of the basic premise behind Haystack. Another cool thing is we also show details outside of the pull request. Like if you click on this function actually is not in the pull request. So it's almost like an IDE where you can look at definitions like string name. You can click on them and you'll be like, oh, that's string name. That makes sense. And that way you can kind of fully situate yourself in a pull request. We also include issues. That's pretty standard, I think, at this point. We include like repro details, theoretical ones, as well as an LLM prompt. This is, like AI code reviews offer this. I don't think there's anything here is new. Obviously, you can chat further with Haystack, and the nice thing is it keeps you on that like high level trend. So you can ask, is this a general refactor for worker thread pools? We actually already know the answer to this because the background gave it to us. So this is a bit of a dumb question, but you can see that Haystack gives us further details about this. And those further details kind of clarify any concerns or questions you have. Even if it's a dumb question, like, clarification is always really nice. And more context is always really nice. And so you can see here, like, links are filling in, again, that unlockable mutexes. You can see it's talking about the same thing. It's just meant to isolate shader compilation. It also talks about trade-offs, which is really helpful because it talks, someone reviewing this might not be able to understand, like, hey, like, a set of worker thread pools has this many threads. In this case, it's the same amount of threads as the main pool or the singleton. And so obviously the trade-off is you can run at full capacity, but you have double the threads that you had before. And so in this way, like this chat pane always helps you kind of keep focused on the high-level trade-offs, while the right side, if I personally don't advocate for like looking for style issues or any of that stuff, but the right side always keeps you grounded in the sense that you can look for style details, you can look for bugs, you can look for weird, LMs make all sorts of very strange changes, and you can keep an eye out for those. Anyway, thank you so much. If you've kept up with me thus far, that was Haystack. I hope some of you guys try it out, and if you do, please let me know if you have any feedback. Thank you so much.